taking those for okay. I'm just
Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Michaela Peterson, and I'm a pharmacist from Minden. And these are the reason that I'm so passionate about helping people with nutrition. So my husband Mark and I live on a farm in the middle of nowhere with our 4 kiddos. Micah is the oldest at 8, and they range from 8 to 3. And we're going to talk about some statistics here that are pretty bleak, but we're also going to give you hope at the end, so don't get too bogged down by these kind of sad statistics right now. But this is sadly where our nation is. 1 in 3 kids are overweight. 1 in 6 have a learning disability. 1 in 9 have asthma. 1 in 10 have ADHD. 1 in 12 have a food allergy. I don't know about you guys, but when we were kids, nobody was allergic to peanuts or, dairy or anything like that. We did not have that problem that we do now. 1 in 20 have seizures. 1 in 54 males have autism, and 1 in 88 total children have autism. And just kind of a sad statistic, if we keep going at the rate that we've gone the last 20 years, by the year 2032, 1 in 2 children will be autistic. And if you can imagine not only the emotional impact for parents, but the economical impact for our medical, for our world is going to be way different. 50% of all children have a chronic illness or are overweight, and this is the new normal. And the bottom says, are you concerned yet? Because if you're not paying attention. 75% of all chronic disease is preventable. 1 in 3 women will have cancer. 1 in 3 people will live with some form of cardiovascular disease. Last year, 750,000 people died in the United States by cardiovascular disease. 1 in 3 women will die of heart disease or stroke, and 1 in 3 people will have diabetes by the year 2050. And this is the first generation of kids that is not expected to outlive their parents. And that's a statistic by Dr. David Katz, who is head of internal medicine at Yale. And so you can start preventing disease, though, by what we put on our fork. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. So there are 2 startling trends in this world. The first is that environmental toxins are increasing, and I hope I'm not stating anything new by saying that. We're exposed to way more toxins than we ever have been in a variety of different forms. And then the other thing is food quality is decreasing. And a lot of people don't even eat real food. If it comes in a box and if it didn't live or roam on the earth, it is not real food. It's a substitute, and that's part of the reason that we're so sick. So that's preservatives, dyes, emulsifiers, GMOs, growth hormones, artificial colors, trans fats. We'll talk about those in just a little bit. But this is an interesting slide, toxic chemicals putting your health at risk. The one that I'm going to focus on most is that 232 toxic chemicals were found in the umbilical cord from U.S. newborns. Now that's staggering, in my opinion. These can be linked, fertility problems are on the rise, asthma is on the rise, Parkinson's has 100% increase expected by the year 2030. So, if you think about it, when I was a kid, there was maybe 5 or 6 autoimmune conditions, and today there's 170. So something that we're doing is fundamentally wrong, and we're going to talk about how to change that here in a little bit. So one of the toxins is sugar, and in pharmacy school, I was taught nothing about sugar. We got 1 week of nutrition training, and we took it along with the physicians. So it's not our fault that we aren't educated on nutrition. We were not taught that way. And this is kind of out of the box thinking from how we started. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about why we care so much about sugar. Today, by the time the average child in a developed country turns 8 years old, they've consumed more sugar in their lives than the average person did just a century ago. And why do we care about this? Because 1 teaspoon of sugar depletes the immune system by 50% for 4 to 6 hours. So you think about it, as a mom of 4, 2 years ago, we were sick all the time. We had the random acts of barfness 4 or 5 times a year. It would spread through the entire house. And you think of when people get sick, it's after Halloween and Christmas and Easter and those times where we sugar our kids up. We expect them to behave perfectly because if you're like me, you don't want to have those kids at Christmas. You want them to conform. And they're sleep deprived and their immune systems just can't keep up. So I was an avid Pepsi drinker. I drank 1 Pepsi a day for all of my life, pretty much, ever since I can remember. And that was my only vice. Do any of you have a vice that you say, that's my only thing that I do? That's where I was. And so even in the hospital, having a baby, my husband would smuggle a Pepsi into me because they were Coke hospitals. And so when I saw this slide is when this all changed for me, though, because you see, I don't know if you can see my pointer here. Nope, you aren't going to be able to see it. On that food label, if you look at the grams of sugar, you can divide that by 4, and that's how many teaspoons of sugar are in whatever substance you're eating or drinking. And so Pepsi has 41 grams of sugar. So that's 10 1/4 teaspoons of sugar that you're consuming just by consuming 1 Pepsi. And so you can see what that does to your immune system over time. So this is an awesome campaign called Rethink Your Drink. And how many of you have heard of Jamie Oliver? Have any of you heard of him? Food Revolution. He goes around to different cafeterias and different school programs, and he revolutionizes how they eat and gets them back to cooking whole food again. And one of his TED Talks, it's awesome, you can Google him, he rolls out a heaping full wheelbarrow of sugar cubes, and he tosses it on the stage, and he says, what do you think that is? And he takes guesses, and in the end, it's how much sugar is consumed by kindergarten through 3rd grade, one child, just consuming milk at school, which is crazy. So if you look, I'm gonna go around here. If you look right here, this milk has a ton of sugar. Chocolate milk is even worse. And a lot of times we feed our kids Crush or root beer or Fanta or something like that because it doesn't have the caffeine. And so we automatically think that it's better, but look how much sugar is consumed there. So anyway, that's a really interesting point. And so what we have on the screen here is exactly this display here. And this is the reason our country is so sick, or one of them, because we need whole food. Every cell in our body thrives on good nutrition. And so if we aren't putting that good nutrition in, there's nothing to combat the bad stuff, right? So this is 2 servings of fruits and vegetables, and that is what the average American consumes on a daily basis. This is 5 servings, that is 7 to 13 servings, and the far platter, or the platter that's, I guess, on the left here on the screen, is 18 servings. Does anyone know how many servings we should consume on a daily basis? I hope you don't say 2. That 5 is what a healthy American, quote unquote, healthy American consumes. We actually need the 7 to 13 platter. And if you're an athlete or you work out in any capacity, you should be putting in your body every single day that far platter that has 18 servings of fruits and vegetables. I don't know about you, but I maybe was this person right here, and I thought I was doing well, for my family. So this is an interesting slide that compares a traditional diet to a fancy word called nutritional rebalancing. And you can see the top part of this slide has a whole bunch of polka dots. And those polka dots are called toxins. The fancy name for those are free radicals or oxidative stress. And that's really the root of all disease. So this top person is exactly what I was in pharmacy school before we got married. I went on Weight Watchers and I lost a lot of weight. And then 6 months later, I gained the weight back, and we all know those people that like roller coaster, right? But I was a perfect example that if I wanted the brownie bad enough, I would substitute the 6-point brownie for supper, right? But I was not giving my body the building blocks that it needed to get rid of the gunk that I had accumulated. So the bottom slide then that says cleansing is what happens when you flood your body with fruits and vegetables. So when you eat the far 2 platters, what happens is those antioxidants in fruits, vegetables, and berries latch onto those polka dots or those toxins, and they keep them in a holding pattern. And then you naturally get thirsty and you drink water and you flush those toxins out. So they're eliminated via your kidneys and your liver, and they're gone for good, which is incredible, right? I mean, something so simple, and yet we're not talking about it enough. So that's why we're here tonight. Why do we care about oxidative stress and free radical damage? Because it is the root of all disease. You can have 2 people with the exact same cardiovascular numbers, and the ones that have the higher inflammation are the ones that are going to have the cardiovascular events, stroke. You can look at this laundry list of what happens in a body that has high free radicals and oxidative stress. So skin problems, kidney problems, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, psoriasis, asthma, COPD, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ADHD. The immune system is compromised, blood vessels are compromised, diabetes, aging, chronic fatigue, macular degeneration, myocardial infarction, which is a heart attack. All of those things are caused by free radical damage and oxidative stress. Did any of you know that? Some of you did. Okay, so this slide is really near and dear to my heart because the multivitamin industry is a billion-dollar industry. Yet we have two studies, the Iowa Women's Health Study and also a study done in Finland, that proves that taking a multivitamin actually causes more stress on the body than taking nothing. And what happened was these two studies were stopped 2 years short because the multivitamin population had a higher incidence of chronic disease and cancer than the placebo group. And why is this? Because you think, we're trained that everyone needs a multivitamin. Well, what happens is you take that multivitamin and your body goes, whoa, what the heck is happening here? I am not made to process 550% of vitamin A or 600% of vitamin C. So what happens is your liver and your kidneys have to take that multivitamin through 12 different conversions to even get it to a form that your body knows what to do with. And that causes more oxidative stress than doing nothing. And so this slide depicts how many phytonutrients. Now, phytonutrient is a fancy word for those antioxidants that get down and latch onto those free radicals, right, to eliminate them from our body, that is contained in one apple. And you can see the amount of phytonutrients in one a-day multivitamin. There's like 18 compared to 16,000. So do you see why whole food is always going to be your better bet? This is a short list of the phytonutrients in an apple. I mean, everything from cyanide to arsenic to vitamin C, and I mean, all of those things are contained in an apple. But the way that those things work together in that apple is where the magic happens. So you look at an orange, for instance. An orange only has 6 micrograms of vitamin C, 6 micrograms. And so your one-a-day multivitamin may have 500 milligrams or 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C. But that 6 micrograms, the way it works with all those other 15,000 nutrients is where the power really happens. And we know what happened to scurvy when soldiers were exposed to oranges, right? So God's pharmacy is absolutely amazing. A carrot looks like a human eye, and that's exactly what it does. It enhances blood flow to the eye. A tomato has 4 chambers and is red just like a heart. It's loaded with lycopene that is pure heart and blood food. A walnut looks like the brain and helps develop more than 3 dozen neurobrain functions. And beans are shaped like kidneys, and that's exactly what they help. So this is a fun little sheet that we can give you a copy of. But did you know that eating cabbage more than once a week cuts colon cancer by 66%? Did you know that eating 6 servings of fruits and vegetables every day cuts stroke risk by 44%? And upping that to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every single day cuts stroke rate by 66%. So that's incredible. And then all of these different fruits and vegetables have just amazing property. Broccoli has 20 to 50% more anti-cancer capabilities than a chemo drug even, which is awesome. Pineapple is your best anti-inflammatory in regards to fruit. And we're going to talk just a little bit about the Foolish Five. This doctor is absolutely brilliant. His name is Bill Sears. And how many of you have watched The Doctors? Do you know that TV show? So his son, Jim Sears, is one of the doctors on The Doctors TV show. And I was blessed to eat supper with him in Phoenix about 6 months ago. And we got into an awesome conversation about this. So the Foolish 5 things, he says if you can avoid these 5 things, you are already eating 90% clean. You're putting 90% of good things into your body if you just avoid these. And so the first is high fructose corn syrup. And that's factory made. It's a fake sugar that makes you want to keep eating when you're full. It overexcites the brain and causes ADD and ADHD-like symptoms. Hydrogenated oils is number 2. This is the fakest, sickest, and dumbest of all fats, according to Dr. Sears, and it creates brain fog. How many of you have eaten at a fast food restaurant and just felt disgusting for a couple hours afterwards? This is exactly why. This is that hydrogenated oil that just creates that brain fog and makes you feel like you don't want to function for 2 hours. Numbers, these are beautiful little things that look so colorful on a shelf. They're actually food coloring though, red dye 40, blue dye 1, all of those numbers, and they're neurotoxins. They actually poison the nervous system by degrading the myelin sheath that allows your nerves to send impulses where they need to go. So they attack the nerve and also create brain fog. MSG and all preservatives, in my opinion, could be lumped into this. It overexcites the brain and lies to your brain about fake food. So this is where addiction comes from, especially, you know, addicted to pop or diet pop or, you know, fast food or whatever, that's the reason. And then the fifth is probably the most concerning, and this is aspartame. And I'm the daughter of a mortician, and I know that pickling anything with a heartbeat is never good. That was a little joke. Sorry, rough. Okay, good. Aspartame degrades to formaldehyde and chlorine in your system, and obviously this is bad for a growing brain, but you can imagine aspartame poisoning leads to all sorts of things, MS-like symptoms, you know, all sorts of autoimmune conditions, and a lot of times if the person will fast from aspartame or diet, and this is scary because it's in everything, 0 calorie, no calorie, good for diabetics, you know, it comes in so many different names. And so anyway, a lot of times if the person will just cut out that food, their symptoms will miraculously get better. Okay, so, you know, I have been touting that we need to eat more whole food, but the bottom line is we really just can't eat enough to combat what we're exposed to. And this is a perfect example of this. In 1953, 1 bowl of spinach contained the same amount of nutrition that 43 bowls of spinach do today. Well, that's due to a lot of things. Number one, our produce, you know, in the middle of Nebraska, in the middle of winter, we aren't getting much fresh produce. It's picked 1,000 miles away, trucked to us, sprayed with a chemical to make it look ripe. I'm sure all of us have cut into a bright white strawberry, even in the summertime, and there's not a lot of nutrition value in that because the most nutrition comes on in the last 3 to 5 days of ripening. So, you know, our soil is also really depleted. We also spray things on our produce that they didn't in 1953. So you really just can't eat enough, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So, you know, getting healthy is really daunting. I thought getting healthy was really daunting. In fact, I didn't get healthy in between 4 kids because I knew I was going to get pregnant again, and I thought it was pointless. You know, if I could tell myself 8 years ago what I know now, it would be different, believe me. But one of the things that we do is a campaign called One Simple Change, and it takes the brain 3 weeks to develop a habit, good or bad. And so what we do is we focus on one theme every month, and we have a Facebook page that we inspire people through our pictures or our posts or whatever. And we focus on really 4 core areas. So drinking more water, exercising, sleeping well, and eating healthy. And we're just going to talk about why those are important. Water, 75% of your body is water. It helps carry oxygen to your cells. It moistens the oxygen for breathing. It helps convert food to energy, protects and cushions your vital organs. We already talked about it. You know, you eat fruits and vegetables, latching onto the free radicals, and then water flushes that down. It helps your body absorb nutrients, makes up 75% of your muscles. It's a joint greaser, which is kind of fun. It composes 22% of your bones, removes waste, and makes up 83% of your blood. It also regulates your body temperature. So we don't like to admit that we're a stressed nation. Nobody wants to admit that they're stressed, but we actually are one of the most stressed populations on the face of the earth. And I didn't realize that all of these things are caused by stress. So muddled thinking, impaired judgment, loss of appetite, restlessness, loss of confidence, being irritable, headaches, frequent infections, all of those things are caused by stress. And then these are a few benefits of on the brain only of exercise. So exercise increases the production of neurochemicals that promote brain cell repair. And I don't know about you, but I want to keep all the brain cells that I have currently. I don't want to lose any more. They improve memory. They lengthen attention span. It boosts decision-making skills. It prompts growth of new nerve cells and blood cells, and it improves multitasking and planning. And so one of the ways, we're going to switch into the whole food side now. One of the ways that we get more whole food into our kids is by growing our own. And yes, you can grow food all year round in Nebraska with this beautiful thing called a tower garden. And you can grow 28 different plants in it. It has a 20-gallon reservoir, and it's absolutely amazing. Right now we've got one growing in our garage that is going to go on our nursing home tour in a few days. And we also have one growing in our house. And so it's so fun to see the kids eat what they grow, because they're way more apt to eat it if they have helped grow it, right? So it has no dirt. It's 90% less water than a traditional garden, 90% less space, 100% success. I used to not be able to grow cactus, and I can make this thing grow like crazy. And most importantly, it does not have 4.5-foot bull snakes. And that's really why I got the tower garden, for sure. So this says, why try and explain miracles to your kids when you can have them plant a garden? And one thing that's really important to us is giving back. And so this little tower garden here has been to 5 nursing homes now. And we give a little 20-minute talk to every nursing home to the nursing home that it's at once a week. And the kids have gained so much, and I think we've gained more than the residents have. Usually we're singing Jingle Bells in June or something like that, but they haven't kicked us out yet. So, and it's so fun to see them wheel up there and grab some lettuce to eat. So this is right when you plant the tower garden. The left is 3 weeks after, so you're literally eating lettuce within 3 weeks. And so that really bridges the gap between the produce that we want in Nebraska and what we actually can get. And we've got 2 other bridge building products. The first is Juice Plus, and that bridges the gap between how many fruits and vegetables we should consume and how many we actually do consume. So this is 30 fruits and vegetables that are picked at the vine ripest stage, and then they're juiced and dehydrated and pulverized and put into a capsule or a soft chew for kids, which is amazing. And so there were a few things as a pharmacist that really appealed to me about this. First of all, when we started, I just wanted a tower garden. I didn't know about Juice Plus. And within one conversation, I went from never having heard of it to paying $50 to become a rep. And I wanted my whole family on it for life. It instantly made sense to me. I knew I wasn't getting the nutrition that they needed, and that was evidenced by how much we were sick, even though I thought we were healthy, right? So our 8-month-old needed tubes in her ears. Out of a family of 6, we've not had a single sick visit in 2 years. She never did get tubes. She's never been on an antibiotic, and we've been healthier than we've ever been. My 2-year-old gagged at anything green. It was a total fight to get him to eat one piece of broccoli even. And within 3 weeks, he was asking for salads and eating seconds, which is awesome. We took him to Runza the other night, and he ordered a side salad, and that's what he wanted for supper, which is awesome. And then our 4-year-old really struggled with focus. And thinking back now, she was probably the most inflamed of all of the kids. She had been on nebulizer treatments as a baby and just always kind of had a nasally sound to her voice and stuff like that. And so I think she did have a lot of inflammation, which within 4 weeks, she was crawling up on our laps and asking us to read her book after book, which was so heartwarming as a parent. And then my energy was through the roof. And my husband was in a bad cannon accident a couple years ago, and he didn't have the inflammation and consequently didn't have the pain in his leg that he had previously had. So at that point, I decided I better research what we were putting into our bodies, right, as any good pharmacist probably should have right off the bat. But hey, it was fruits and vegetables. It just made sense to me, and I didn't think it needed research. So as a pharmacist, when somebody approached me about a product, I asked 3 questions. Is it safe in pregnancy? Is it safe in kids? And is it safe in cancer patients? And when I dove into the research and read The Birth of Juice Plus, first of all, the creator's dad was given 3 weeks to live and ended up living for 15 years. And then I also saw that it's researched at MD Anderson Cancer Center of America, and they're one of the leading cancer institutes in our nation. I messaged a mom of a kiddo with cancer, and her response back to me was, how long have you known about this, and why didn't you tell me sooner? And that's really why we're here tonight, because I took an oath as a pharmacist to do no harm. And when she said that to me, obviously I realized that I was doing harm by not sharing it. So the rest is kind of history. But some things that really appealed to me is, it was studied in those 3 populations. The longevity. Juice Plus has been around for 23 years. There's never been a single recall, never been a lawsuit. It's tested 6 times from field to capsule. So, when all those spinach recalls are happening because of E. coli, you can rest totally assured that Juice Plus is the #1 consumer of kale in the nation, and there won't be any recalls on that for sure. It has NSF certification, which means 3 things. First of all, it means that there's nothing in the capsule that's not on the label. There's nothing on the label that's not in the capsule. And third, and most importantly, it does no harm. So this is why there are several Olympic teams around the world that, Juice Plus is their sole source of, adding fruits and vegetables into their diet. And that's why they can totally rest assured knowing that that's perfectly safe. It has a nutrition label, not a supplement label. So it's just food. I mean, that's all it is. It's not even taxed in Nebraska. 30% of Juice Plus reps are in the medical community. So I know that I'm not alone there. Thousands of doctors recommend it. And probably the most impressive to me is, in order to get a drug approved to the pharmaceutical market, you need 2 studies on the intended population, and they only have to be 65% effective. So the fact that fruits and vegetables in a capsule have 35 published clinical studies is just absolutely mind-blowing to me. And you can see the universities. I mean, it's no slouch, no-name universities that it's studied at. So this is a laundry list of the studies that have been conducted. I'm just going to touch on a few of these, but you can see on the far right there, the oxidative stress studies. Obviously we're cutting edge because, there's 13 different studies on oxidative stress, which is awesome. Maybe even more than that. I don't know. I should have counted it up. But the skin study showed that that blood flow was improved to the skin and the rest of the microvascular circulation by 39%. So that's my favorite one as far as prevention, because if you think about it, if you think of diabetics, for instance, what complications do they have? It's the eyes and the kidneys and the nerves and erectile dysfunction and the skin, right? Those are the 5 microvascular circulation issues. And so if you can increase blood flow to those areas by 39%, you're doing a lot for quality of life down the road for those individuals. So that's really where one of my passions lies. This children's health study is absolutely crazy to me. If you have a Juice Plus order, you can sponsor a child age 4 to full-time college students to get free Juice Plus for 4 years. And so when I was introduced to this, I totally thought there was a catch. 2 years into it, there's no catch. It's crazy. They just care that much about kids. So some of the statistics after just a year are amazing. 56% are taking fewer over-the-counter and prescription drugs. 61% were eating more fruits and vegetables. 71% were both drinking less soft drinks and eating less fast food and drinking more water. And 96% of kids had some sort of positive benefit, which is amazing. Okay, so this, how old do you think that this unhappy meal is? Say it.
It's 2 years old.
It is 16 years old.
Oh.
Yeah, other than the crusty bun, it looks like you could eat it today, right? Okay, so I love that we're always wanting to do new research for most anyone that asks. And so this study was the fast food study, and it came about because a group of physicians approached Juice Plus and said, we know that the majority of heart attacks and stroke happen after a high-fat meal. Will you study it? And so they brought a group of 200 people into the lab. They tested their blood pressure. They fed them all the same McDonald's high-fat meal, tested their blood pressure again, and what they found was a 50% vasoconstriction that lasted 4 to 6 hours. So it was 50% harder for or 2 times as hard for their hearts to pump the fatty blood through than it was before eating that high-fat meal. So they sent 3 groups away, a placebo group, which was just a sugar pill, an orchard and garden group, which is just the fruit and the vegetable, and then the orchard, garden, and vineyard group. And they brought them back at 28 days. And what they found was the placebo group was exactly the same. They did the same thing, blood pressure, high-fat meal, blood pressure. Placebo group was the same, still had a 50% vasoconstriction. The orchard and garden group had a 62% reduction in that vasoconstriction. So it was 62% easier for their hearts to pump that blood through than it was the placebo group. But the orchard, garden, and vineyard group had less than 2% vasoconstriction. So it was as if they had not even eaten that high-fat meal, which is crazy. As a person that has cardiovascular events in my family history, that's important to me. But also as a mom, I mean, how many times do we buzz our kids through a fast food restaurant and then drop them off at the soccer field or at gymnastics or whatever, knowing that it's 50% harder for their hearts to pump that blood through? So I go to bed at night feeling a lot better after knowing that. So what happens when you eat Juice Plus for 4 months? There's immediate benefits. At 7 days, there's an increase in those key antioxidants that latch on to those toxins like we talked about. And ironically enough, at 42 days, 75% of those free radicals or those toxins that are circulating around your system are completely gone. So that's amazing for prevention. There's also benefits at 28 days and at 80 days. And honestly, 2 years down the road, we're still seeing benefits that we didn't see in the beginning. So obviously you don't eat at a salad bar tonight and feel magnificent tomorrow. You know, it's just food. So sometimes it takes time, but I like knowing that the research, even if people don't feel different, their bodies are proven to be different. So this is Dr. Rick DuBois, and he was one of the head infectious disease doctors at the Atlanta Medical Center. And he says, after looking at all the research done on Juice Plus, he recognizes that there is nothing else available anywhere else in the world with or without a prescription that has been shown to do all those things in the human body. And so how often do you normally eat? This is kind of a segue into the last little bit. Willpower is a function of blood sugar. Did you know that? So if we eat something that really spikes our blood sugar and then causes a crash, that's when we crave everything. And it doesn't matter, anything in the pantry is held hostage. And so the average person eats 2 meals a day, but we're supposed to eat 6 meals a day. So this is the third bridge builder that we have, and it's called the Complete Shake Mix. And this is like the macronutrition, like the gasoline that you put in your car. It has proteins, fats, carbs, fiber, 24 superfoods, gluten-free, GMO, all the buzzwords. And then the Juice Plus is like the gas, or like the oil that you put in the engine. So they're two totally different things, but they work great together. And I don't know about you, but I thought I ate healthy, but I definitely didn't eat ancient grains or quinoa or radish sprouts or anything like that. And the way they make this stuff taste amazing is just beyond me. And it's totally safe from womb to tomb. And it also has been studied at MD Anderson Cancer Center. So basically, this is a fancy slide to say there's no other protein powder anywhere that is anywhere close to the quality of Juice Plus. Okay, so what does good health mean to you? Does it mean eating healthy? Does it mean having lots of energy? Does it mean preventing disease, or does it mean being fit? And so just as you go tonight, I want you to think about what one simple change is that you could make. Could you eat more whole food? Could you drink more water? Could you move your body more? Or could you sleep more and stress less? That's really a hard one for me because I'm kind of a night owl. This is going to be the Healthy Living Revolution video that we'll watch real fast, and hopefully you can hear it. No, how do I do that? See if I can get back here now. Okay, so one thing that we are doing to embark on this healthy living revolution is called Shred 10. And basically, if it didn't live or roam on the earth, we don't eat it for 10 days, which sounds a little bit harsh, but the way you feel at the end of 10 days is absolutely amazing. So talk to one of us if you're interested in any details on that. And really, you don't have to do anything but start really small. And so these are just some healthy swaps that you really cannot tell a difference in recipes if you substitute these things. So you can substitute applesauce for oil, yogurt for sour cream, flax for eggs. I've done this several times when we're out of eggs on the farm. I hate going to the grocery store, and so that works great. Dark chocolate for milk chocolate. Dark chocolate has a ton of antioxidants in it. Coconut oil for vegetable oil, butter for margarine, and unrefined sugar instead of refined. I use sugar in the raw for any recipe that calls for sugar, and I have never had a problem, and my family doesn't notice the difference. So these are just a few healthy how-tos to kind of let you think about on your way out of here. Know your produce. Especially during a 10-day shred, we really like to put organic into our bodies because we're trying to get rid of those. We're trying to shred the toxins that we've been exposed to. We're trying to shred bad habits and hopefully some pounds along the way, but that's not the main goal. And so produce, if it has a 3 or a 4 on the little barcode, that means it's conventionally grown, so it's exposed to the pesticides and herbicides and stuff like that. If it has a 9, then that means that it is organic, and if it has an 8, then it's a GMO product. So that's just kind of a tip there. Create a snack drawer. We have a snack drawer in our refrigerator that the kids, it's at their eye level, and so they see the healthy stuff first. We have like peanut butter celery and cutie oranges and all sorts of stuff in there that they can grab and go. You can make your own dry mixes, like brownie mix, for instance. You can make it ahead of time and have it in your pantry and then just add the wet ingredients to it. You don't have all the preservatives that come along with that. You can make cookie dough and flash freeze it, so then you can just plop it on a cookie sheet when it's time to do that. And when going to events, you can take a healthy snack. You can eat a healthy snack before you go. You can have a friend or spouse be on board with you as far as keeping you accountable. And then the most important thing is eat in moderation. Everything is fine in moderation. So these are a few of the things that we do. We do salad in a jar events, which everyone brings a topping to share, and the host provides the lettuce. And these salad in a jars are amazing. They last for like up to a week. They're great. All you do is dump them out on a plate and you have a healthy meal right there. You can do peanut butter and celery to take on the go for kids, or overnight oats, or anything like that. And so I just want you to think about, maybe you haven't thought about this before, but prevention is a lot easier than a cure. And especially in the state of our nation, you either pay for healthcare on the front end or you pay for healthcare on the back end. So just be conscious of what you're putting into your body. And if anything that you heard tonight convicted you, then we would be more than happy to partner with you to take Healthy back. So thank you so much for coming, and we'll stick around for questions. Yeah, go ahead.
The peanut butter and the butter. We read on something the other day, you should use real butter.
Yes.
And organic peanut butter.
Right.
So where are you getting organic peanut butter?
You can't, just a second, I want to stop the recording here.